No, nobody wants this. Nobody thinks this is a good idea. Nobody thinks this is going to accomplish anything. Nobody thinks this is authentic or a comeback. Please, Kamala Harris, do not run again for president in 2028 because you are just not a good candidate. Why Kamala Harris is a bad candidate, we got to remember this photo right here, because this is how Kamala's career started. She was dating this man right here named Willie Brown, who was the Speaker of the California State Assembly when she was just 29 years old and he was 61, and he was still actually legally married at the time. During the time they were dating, Willie appointed her to two positions. One was the California Medical Commission, the other was the Unemployment Insurance Division, where she made $97,000 a year in 1994 money, which would be $260,000 a year today. Even after the relationship ended, Willie was always supporting Kamala Harris in her life, like in 2003 when she ran for district attorney of San Francisco and he was the mayor of the city and he endorsed her, which gave her a huge edge and got her the win. And that led her to becoming attorney general to California in 2010, where because she was the DA to San Francisco, she was able to raise a ton of tech money and she had more money raised than all of her other opponents in the primary combined. But even after that, she only barely won that election. Just to show how bad that victory was, the same year Jerry Brown in California also ran for governor, where he had a massive landslide over Meg Whitman, the eBay CEO who spent $250 million of her own money to try and win but still lost, so Kamala Harris did not have an impressive win that year. 6 years later, Kamala Harris would become senator to California, but it was really because Barbara Boxer, the incumbent senator who was retiring, endorsed her early on. And then 4 years later, she'd run for president of the United States as CNN's favorite candidate, and everything about the campaign was a total lie. She went from being anti-single-payer medicine to for single-payer medicine. She was strongly against getting rid of cash bail, but then she was for it. She was against legalization, but now for it. So she basically flip-flopped on everything. In fact, she was the only candidate in 2020 who proposed spending more money than Bernie Sanders did, wanted to spending $500 billion more because she just promised everything to everyone. Also, wasn't a very positive campaigner. She accused Joe Biden of being a racist in the 2020 primary because he supported busing in the 70s, and also took the side of a woman who accused Joe Biden of groping her. It all came crashing down on her, where her campaign wasn't really resonating with the people, and Tulsi Gabbard absolutely destroyed her in one of the debates, calling her out on all the flip-flops, pointing out how she was not releasing prisoners to use them for cheap labor in the state of California, so she went from 15% in the polls to about 2% and dropped out. Then she lucked out big time because of this man right here, George Floyd, and his passing away. Because before George Floyd, Joe Biden, who wanted to pick a woman to be his vice president, was most likely to pick Senator Amy Klobuchar, who did much better in the 2020 primary and also knew Biden for much longer. But it was found when she was a prosecutor in the 2000s, she didn't go after the cop that offed George Floyd, so because of that, she resigned from the VP selection process, and Biden promised to pick a black woman and ended up being Harris. Also, the reason that Biden picked Harris was because she was friends with Beau Biden, his son, who passed away from cancer, who was attorney general to Delaware, and they did work together. So Harris becomes VP and she does nothing. She was supposed to be in charge of the Immigration Commission and failed at that. She tried speaking to kids but hired child actors, and she was just not popular. For her in 2024, Joe Biden's brains fried, so he had to drop out and endorse her. And she lost. First person to give Trump the popular vote in